We're talking about the Eternals this week. That is our theme. And we're doing this, of course, to coincide with the Marvel Cinematic Universe's new movie, The Eternals, in theaters now. Go and check it out.
Yes.
We have talked about the comic books, the original creation, some of the background politics, some of the ins and outs of the fun stuff, just some wild comic book trivia and stuff for your entertainment. And we gave you a little bit of a background as best we could. Honestly, it's something that none of us were super duper familiar with to begin with, but we did some research, we learned some fun things, and hopefully you're entertained.
Yes.
Today, spoiler alert, we are going to be talking about the actual movie itself, our opinions.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, major spoiler
Major
alert.
spoiler. We're not even going to waffle around it.
Real quick, I am going to do a short addendum. Yesterday I told you that the issue with the cosmic race of Quasar was number 20-something. It's actually issue number 17. So if you want to see that really fun Quasar comic with the Grandmaster and the cosmic race and Makari and all of them, it's issue number 17 of the 90s Quasar series. So I enjoyed that.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah. All right, so today I'm going to let everybody else talk more for this one. What did you
No,
think?
we're going to talk equal.
We're
going to talk equal.
This time I'm going to let you go first because I have a tendency to get excited, as you know.
I enjoyed the movie overall. I do feel like there were certain elements where they didn't give us enough payoff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to, we're doing spoilers, right? Black Knight. I wanted to see Black Knight in costume, and I'm really kind of sad we didn't get to see Black Knight in costume.
I'm okay with that part, and we'll talk
I'm
about
okay
it.
with that for reasons,
Yeah.
but...
I'm okay with that. We'll talk about that one later.
And we'll talk about this later, but I was like kind of sad that they do a teaser at the end just with a voice, and they don't really show you a character.
Yeah, we'll tell you what
you're
it is
like, who is
later.
this? But yeah, we know who it is. We'll tell you later.
But that's just gravy. Let's talk about the meat.
It just felt kind of like...
I know.
It was, my overall, this is the second time they've had to hear me say this year. That was a lot. That was a lot that suddenly happened. And most of my beef really is that issue, that there's a lot of setup and then not a lot of payoff.
Yeah.
As visually gorgeous as it was, and as hard as all these actors were trying, because these are all actors that I genuinely have a deep affection for.
Oh my God, yes, they got the cast.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
It's like...
And they did a stellar job. I was sad there were certain characters that I wanted to see a lot more of.
This would have worked better as a miniseries.
Yes.
If they had to pick things to make the TV series, this would have been a great one to do, because they could have picked a character, story arc. Picked a character, story arc. Second one's the big twist reveal, and then the last one's the big final battle.
It's like I said previously, because of the power creep escalation thing. It's they were trying to match the scope of something like an Avengers movie, but forgetting the fact that each of the Avengers movies, yes, you had 20 some odd characters, but
we learned about them all.
Invested in them all previously. Yeah. Even though they scaled us back, obviously there weren't 100 Eternals in this movie.
Right.
The ones that they did have, it was still it was like 10 or more. And
right, it was 10 I think it was about 10.
10 to start with. That's a lot of characters to develop and invest in, and to really understand motivations, and they tried.
I thought they did a good job of it. But the thing is I think that, I think both of you were saying, it might have been more interesting if they had done an Eternals Disney Plus series where each episode was focused on a certain character, so you got to see what they did up till this point.
Yeah, and why
instead of doing all the backflashes in the movie.
It's like in everybody. Well, and it's like especially this one. This one is a character-driven type of. the investments I saw were things like, we have this character who is going to go through this very intense story arc, and we kind of just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, we bring it up, we bring it up for 5 minutes where you see how traumatized he is, and then it's fine. We don't talk about it again because we don't talk about the transition from him being deeply traumatized to having a family.
Well, it was kind of like I was explaining to my husband when he was asking me what I thought about it. I told him the nonlinear editing. It felt like Highlander. It felt like
I can see that a lot.
They were trying to do the we're showing you this thing, and then we're showing you why he feels this way about it in this thing, and how it led to this and stuff, which works for one dude. When it's the one dude.
Yeah, when I have to care about one dude, we can do this for 2.5 hours.
And we're seeing this back and forth and that editing and everything in those flashbacks, it works. When we're trying to do that for 10 people.
We have to, it's like we have 3 subsets of it. It's like you have to keep track of 10 people, but then you also have to keep track of 10 people and how they grew and interacted with each other as a family.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like,
but then you also have to count how they interact with humanity, because the whole purpose of their characters is their journey alongside the development of mankind.
Agreed.
And granted, like I said, it's like Highlander. It's wonderful to explore those time periods and get to see those different historical events through a new eye and say, oh, this is how these people saw it. And that's great. I love that aspect of it. But it was just too many.
Right? Yeah. Well, and it's like the impression I got, because full disclosure, never read the Eternals. It's like, and I've heard things about the in-depth stuff, but from what from the impression I got, it's also a very philosophy-driven thing.
Mm.
And the problem is, we offhandedly bring it up, and then we either don't talk about it again, or we really don't pay it off. So it's like, if we needed time to be like, hey, free will question. Or, hey, what is this? Hey, what is that?
It actually just now occurred to me. I'm very disappointed, and I understand why.
Like, this could have been really interesting.
We've talked about Jupiter's Legacy. Remember Jupiter? Jupiter's Legacy kind of did the same thing, and because it had a series of episodes to do it, yes, they were super long-lived, not thousands of years, only 100 years, but still 100 years. And it was the
actually, that's the perfect format difference.
Two stories, the two main plot things that you were supposed to feel emotionally was the whole Highlander who wants to live forever. It sucks, to see people die. It sucks to be able to sit by and watch and not be able to get involved. And then also we have power. Do we have the responsibility to help? Or what's it, or when is it crossing the line? When does it become fascism? When is it we're doing it for them? When are we interfering?
Prime directive.
Yes, when is it prime directive?
What is free will, blah, blah, blah.
And what is free will? And those are the two main things. And like you said, Jupiter's Legacy had 10 episodes to do that. This had 2 hours. 2.5 hours or whatever. I don't remember.
I think 2.5 hours. I don't know. It kind of dragged.
But, at least as beautiful as it was.
It was really pretty, though,
guys.
guys.
As pretty as it was.
Watch it because it was pretty.
They didn't Lord of the Rings it. Which was one of my biggest fears, because everyone is going on and on about how this director is so stunning, and she like meticulously picked these sets, and she like filmed the same shot like 5 minutes at a time for a week to make sure that the lighting was same for the whole thing, And I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna have Lord of the Rings where they're gonna be like spending 5 minutes panning New Zealand before a person show. Luckily it wasn't. It was 2.5 hours, but it was actually stuff was happening.
Yeah.
They kept you on your toes.
There wasn't a lot of just like dead space. So there's that going for it.
Right. It just visually gorgeous.
Acting amazing.
Oh yeah.
Space was so cool, and
yes.
It's like
and then again,
every space,
because we saw it on the laser IMAX with true black, which makes such a difference. But
when
the
you
space
look at
scenes,
space,
yes, it was.
It's like
It's like being outside on a clear night.
Yeah, because there is a
Out in the middle of
section
nowhere.
Out in
of
the
it.
middle of nowhere. It is like being outside in the middle of nowhere on a clear night, looking
Yeah.
at the stars.
Oh
That's
my
what
god,
it felt like.
yes.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because the main celestial that they follow,
Yeah.
he has a big exposition scene. And as much as I was sitting there going, oh, why do we have to do this for 5 minutes? It was so pretty, though. It was so pretty. There were so many good visuals.
I'm
Like,
just glad that they had the sound adjusted. We went and saw Dune. I swear to God.
oh, nearly blew my
It's
ears
like,
out.
that was my fear was like when Ashton showed up on the Celestial showed up. I was like, oh my God, we're gonna be like vibrating in our seats for 20 minutes, just
Right?
Like,
And it's, well, and that was
my
the other
teeth are chattering.
Okay, big question here, guys. The Eternal, the Celestial was amazing, right?
Yes.
gorgeous.
And you see more than one Celestial, but they're all the same in this
They all
movie.
look the same.
Whereas, as Jack Kirby depicts them on the cover of this comic here,
They
they
each
are
have their
all
own-
different.
They all
each have
look
their
distinct.
distinct appearance. And like I was saying before, if you go back and watch the first Guardians of the Galaxy, when he's doing the flashback explaining the origin of the singularities, and they show the Celestials walking across, there's 5 of them, or 6 of them, or whatever.
Right.
All the-
We'll have to find the scene.
We'll have to find the scene. They look totally different. I'm going to look it up for you.
It's like, but it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, and some of this was because we went and saw it in the big laser IMAX theater, but it's like the scenes with scale, you actually felt the sense of scale.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
every single one of those scenes, I was blown away because you could actually feel like how big this Celestial was versus the Inhumans, or the
Versus the Celestial. I mean, the Eternals.
Eternals. I'm gonna do that.
You know what? You know what we forgot to mention? We were talking about the origin of the Eternals.
Huh.
We forgot to. No, did we mention that the
X-Men and the
Inhumans
Inhumans
are
thing.
actually kind of rough? Oh no! You know what? No, that's coming tomorrow. I got a thing to say about that. Don't let me forget that tomorrow.
Okay,
There's a
yeah,
definite
because
thing to
we'll
say.
talk more about the character specific things. It's like the vague overview I'll give of that though is that there were character things that I really wasn't expecting. Not necessarily like it's one of those I should have seen it coming, but when it happened, I was like, "What? Why am I here?" Because it's like there are characters who carry this that I'm like, "You guys are amazing," and they're like, "Oh, you thought they were amazing, huh?
Yeah, it's not
You
very-
liked that?"
It's not very cool, but yeah, you can see they're definitely different.
Oh, they do look different. Okay, cool. They look so cool. Oh,
And Erisham is completely different in this. Than
Yeah, Erisham
he looks
looks
much different.
much
There we
different.
go. It's like, but it's
But it's,
it is impressive. The costumes
Oh, my
were
gosh.
really cool. Selma Hayek looked amazing.
Kumali, you've probably seen the Kingo character. I mean, there's no way you haven't seen this because like even the clips,
Even his regular
even the clips are online. The Bollywood number.
even his
No, that was
regular
so good.
out of superhero costumes designs
The
are
first
on
thing
point.
Originally we started watching it on like, okay, they're cool, but I'm not big into the costumes. I mean, I love them. I think they're gorgeous, but when the Bollywood episode and he's wearing the Icarus Bollywood and I leaned over to Anna, I'm like, okay, I can get behind us doing like a full set of Bollywood.
Yeah.
Turtles. I would do that.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Those are cool. I had fun with that.
Even his jacket, I
Oh, his
I
everything,
killed to
oh,
have
yeah.
his jacket.
And I
Yeah.
think that the secondary characters were absolutely amazing as
Oh, yeah.
well. I mean, like his
assistant.
valet.
I love that guy. It's like that's
Yes, but he's just like that. He's part of the Marvel formula now.
he
Yeah.
was the
He's the Marvel
What is his
Studios.
name?
He's the Marvel Cinematic equivalent of a talking animal.
he's
They
Milton.
always have
He's
to-
Milton.
Yeah, he's Milton.
He's literally Milton.
He's the Darcy slash
right. But that was a missed opportunity.
Louise slash they
It's like
Aquafina. They always have to. That's the new thing now. It's like we have to have
We
that
have a
one
guy.
person there. We have to have that one.
Well, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned the first openly gay couple.
I'm meaning to that.
yeah,
was
that's
in the-
character
that's
specific.
character specific.
It's like, but no, especially with especially with the valet though, that's where I was like, oh, this would have been interesting to talk about philosophy with. Because one, this guy tolerates a lot. God bless him. He goes through this with such style and grace that I'm like, good for you, man. And then he has this like beautiful moment at the end where one of the characters goes and he actually like does the funeral with them together and like actually does the prayer. And I'm like, this would be it's like this would have been an interesting thing to really like flesh out about. Like if they had actually divided everything up character by character and made it a miniseries where we got to know them and their interactions with other people, like the relationship between Kamali and him, super interesting.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I don't know what led to this.
A lot of it
It
felt like
tolerates.
you were just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
You could tell there was much more there, and it was like they just didn't have the time to really delve into it.
right.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. How do I can't even explain how it just I feel like.
And again, look at a lot of the things we're talking about here. The things that we wanted to see more of was the personal interactions and things like that. We're not really talking about wanting to see more of the battle, more of the,
Right.
the,
But
the
because
that
big
was really
special
cool, though.
effects. Because, I mean,
Because
those were nice,
Those
but
were
it was
cool.
more interesting to see what was going on with these characters and these actors just
Right.
playing
Yeah,
these parts and just like,
Yeah,
oh my
you
goodness.
kind of wasted. Yeah, they kind of wasted some of that talent.
Right, but that was
Not
kind
giving
of
them-
the
They should have had more.
well, and that was kind of the appeal of what I was fascinated by with the opening scene. Because the opening scene, you get to watch them kick ass together. It looks so good, but that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, I like fights if there's a payoff where you get to see how they learned to work together.
Yeah.
Because later down the line, there's a lot of times where they don't work together
Yeah.
very well, and I'm like, it's like, I get it. You guys are all fighting. You're slowly learning each other again, but it's like, where is that semi-cohesion?
Yeah.
Like, you only see it with a couple characters, but you very rarely see it
Again,
with like, all the characters.
I know we're kind of beating a horse here, but you know stuff like Umbrella Academy. You got this is kind of what this is kind of feeling like. You know, it's this family and they work together at the beginning, and then they all had to divert it apart. They grew apart, and now they have to come back together again. And I understand that's what they're doing with it, but they had to make sure that they had that.
We needed to invest in it.
They had to put that blockbuster action stuff in there in order to sell it to the public.
Yeah, because they sell because there's a lot of character plots that, like, it's interesting that they made that choice, but you want to stop and be like, wait, no, actually tell me why. And then they try to tell you in like a sentence, and it's like, no, don't just tell me the answer. I want to find out why.
I want to feel it.
It's like, and
I want to feel it.
the only other thing plot-wise that I had realized, and I think this was the reason why I wanted to make it a mini-series, spoilers, there's the part, so at the beginning, when, or it's like we get to the point, Ajax is dead, and Cersei becomes the new Prime Eternal?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, I'm keeping track. So when she goes to talk to Erisham, she's like, what's going on? And he explains it to her.
He just tells
He
her.
just straight up is like, yeah, no, we're going to do this thing.
There's
And
no
she's like, what the fuck, man?
There's no mystery. It's like, oh, and by the way, what you thought happened, that was all different.
It's
and
like,
then it's like, we're like, okay, well, that was just a big
why did you just
dump.
tell me that?
And there's no reason for him to tell her.
Especially when they spent like the first time before that being like, trust the design.
Yes,
It's like, it's one of those things to me where it's like, yes, I get it. She needs to know a little bit more than they do, but but it would have been more emotionally impactful if we had gotten like to the second to last part of the scene, and it's like, and then that's the turnaround where they're like, yes, this is what's happening. Mm-hmm. It's like they could have built the characters up and their beautiful interactions with humanity, and then have, again, the second to last episode be the reveal that they realize, hey, they're working for the baddies this whole time, and the whole earth is about to be destroyed. And then we have the last episode where we cry about it for an hour. Just, it's like, it's such a weirdly missed opportunity, and I get it, because you probably don't have Angelina Jolie money.
Yeah.
Like, we spend money on that nice effects. Angelina Jolie probably won't commit
Right,
for
to a
multiple
TV show.
episodes. Selma Hayek, you probably can't afford Selma Hayek for more than one episode.
Right.
I get it. But this probably would have been better fleshed out.
All right. Well, that is our thoughts on the movie as a whole.
So we're going to be talking characters tomorrow.
Characters tomorrow.
Then
which
we'll
will
go
be-
into character stuff.
Character
tomorrow.
stuff will be even more spoilery because we're going to definitely
it's gonna get
some
worse.
details and stuff. So thank you for joining us. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe, and catch us here every day. And we will see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.